Hey, good morning and welcome to the Digital Marketing Breakthrough. Whether you're a small business owner curious about modern marketing techniques or a creative person looking to start or help businesses, these are the thoughts, techniques, and experiments to keep your knowledge base growing. Good morning. My name is Phil Metzger. I own a video marketing company, and my curiosity takes me anywhere related to success in that area. This is the intro episode to our podcast slash Facebook show. Normally we would want to go live with this stuff, but given the difficulties of the current situation, I am having to pre-record this, but either way, this will be released in the morning, so good morning to you, wherever you are. This one will also be slightly more scripted, because I just want to make sure the intro elements are out of the way, because the point of this show is to just bring you my daily thoughts on a couple areas. So I tell you what, I'll go ahead and just dive right into what I have prepared. This is kind of video marketing centered. That's the background I come from, which you'll hear about in a minute. But it's all kind of, I find video to be that intersection of creativity and marketing, and it's my small business, and I help small businesses. So what I plan to bring you here with this program is my daily thoughts as far as what's new, the techniques that are used in organization, in production, updates in digital marketing, promotion and social, reviews and how-tos, note-taking, thoughts, gears, apps, topics to help your social presence, things to help you stay connected. I'm going to try to get on a guest a week if I can pull that off. I'd like to record this every day, every other day if possible. But as I said, given the circumstances and everything like that, I will just try to get you an episode at least a week, if not 2 or 3. And so why I decided to do this for small business creativity and marketing. I actually had a previous podcast called The Flickering Light Bulb, which was all about how creative ideas are generated. And that was extremely fun. As far as the premise, getting that down and trying to find people to where I could dive deep into their creative process. But the thing was that was only 1/3 of what I do on a daily basis. And I really wanted to bring it all together because I think, especially right now, that this is a time where all three are needed and could possibly come out on the other side bigger and more important than ever. So the underlying premise for this show is the psychology of achievement in these 3 areas, and to be a resource to give you knowledge and supporting evidence about the current landscape in these areas. That will include apps, resources, books, tactics, and other people who are related to your potential success. All of it tends to revolve around the technology and social networks to help grow awareness. That being said, I will be infusing some of my daily thoughts, habits, and research on how I approach things and get things done. Right now with COVID-19 and everything that's going on, I am right there with you. I just happen to be preparing for this exact moment for a long time. I knew it was the time that people wanted to do things remotely and to take their own cause to the next level by putting their creativity use when they felt that desire to do so. I feel this is speeding things up for a lot of people, this current situation, by about 3 to 5 years. Therefore, knowing what to start investing time and money in and having the resources to educate yourself is the logical next step once you have that determined that you're ready to try something in one of these areas, being small business, creativity, or marketing. That being said, I have been so busy and worked so incredibly hard for other people that this is me subscribing to my own brand messaging. After 15 years in creative technologies and 3 years in marketing, I have gained so much knowledge that it really drives me bananas that I don't do more for people. I want to personally go through the advice that has worked for others and the answers to their questions that pop up in my head throughout my work days that I don't have an outlet to tell people. Well, that's really why I want to do this so badly. If you know me or anything about me, I am an avid note taker. I spend 4 to 5 hours a week diving into my thoughts, writing down those questions and theories, and testing them out. And I think it's could be a potentially very useful thing for a lot of people out there. So it really lights a fire inside of me trying to put this all together for other people. So that everyone has a chance, or at least more access to someone that is doing this full time. It can be very daunting going after any of these areas yourself, especially when combining areas. There's so much out there, and it's such an age of being found and tricks to get you in front of people that something that could flash in front of you one moment might be gone the next. So I will have notes going into every day, but this will be informal. It's me talking to you, altering my material to what the community wants and needs, and I am really excited about growing that community. I think this should be a resource for people to ask each other things about their own trials and errors. That's why on the Facebook page, I called it the Big Builder Brands Network. That is my company, Big Builder Brands. I just wanted to do something slightly different with the digital marketing breakthrough. So find either of those on Facebook and join the community, and we'll get this ball rolling. So a little bit about my past and why I feel like I might be a little bit qualified to talk about these things. I'll start with the beginning, just to get it over with, and hopefully not bring some of this stuff up ever again. But I started off as a photographer. I did things like senior portraits and going into schools and taking pictures of crying kids. That was not the most fun job I've ever had, but it did open my eyes to the world of creativity for profit, that you can do creative things, and it's not just a form of art and something that you enjoy doing on the side. It's something that you can really pursue. So I saved for a camera with that photographer job, and I started doing photography on the side. Around the same time, I started a DJ company with one of my friends, and we had that for about 2 years. I had a ton of fun reading the crowd and mixing the songs. It was another inspiration for me on this path to making creativity a career. From there, I went to the Conservatory for Recording Arts and Sciences, and this is a school out in Tempe, Arizona that basically covers all the ground floor across the board on audio. Whether it be how sound actually works, how it hits the ears, what happens when it goes from microphone to speaker, to music business, understanding copyright laws and what the different legal aspects to CYA, and it was really just interesting to learn how people in the record industry, a lot of these labels were just completely ripping off artists, and that's just how it worked with the radio. And it's great to see how that has evened out now with Spotify and giving independent artists a little bit more power. Maybe that's something we can get into a little bit later. But then also how a full recording studio works, and also how to record remotely. So audio was my first love. I could sit there, especially with Adam. That was a dream, going to that school with my partner growing up, where we just did nothing but ride around, listen to music, and study how different tempos and time signatures and scales worked, to be able to understand why something sounds appealing or might maybe just a little bit better. It just absolutely, set me in a direction to where I was never not going to make this part of my career, whether it be working for someone else. Whether it be working for someone else or doing this on my own. I just knew that creativity was going to have to be a part of my daily routine, and not just in the sense to where, creative problem solving. I mean, I'm talking about, I want to have something that is subjective yet popular. Like, it makes sense for the right reasons. And I will dive into a little bit about ad spend, but that's really my goal, is to gain organic attention. Ad spend is something that I will definitely have an episode on, but I guess just a quick point here. I think now is a time when you can grow your community without any ad spend or having to really pay anyone else. Now, obviously, I don't want to push that too much because people are paying me to do it, but I'm doing it at a faster and higher level. But I think to start off with, it will take everyone a while unless you have a ton of ad spend and can go ahead and hire people and influencers and editors and things like that. But it's going to be a process. And that's a process that I love, and it's a process that I study, and I'm really excited to provide you all with some of that background information just to kind of have it on in the background for a podcast. That's my ultimate goal, as I said, but also have somewhat of a community to where we can answer some of these questions together to help you succeed. So anyways, I went from the audio engineering school. I went from Tempe back to Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm from, or Louisville, excuse me, don't get mad at me at home. But I went to a company called Rainbow Design Services, and how I got that job was I was sitting at a bar and just a pizza pub, and the guy next to me, we just struck up a conversation, and it turns out that coaxial and fiber optic information transference is kind of like an audio signal, and that's our conversation. That's how it got started, and I cannot thank Jeff Martis of Rainbow Design Services enough. He, as you'll hear in a second, he gave me a second chance as well, but this really, when I talked about that switch from creative problem solving to full-time creativity, or at least majority of the time creativity, this is kind of right on the other side of that. This was something to keep me not only afloat, but it was an opportunity that I took very seriously. And so I went to work for Rainbow Design, and then I went to school for small business and entrepreneurship to learn all of the basics of starting a business. And what this was a 5 or 6 month course at the local college, and it basically just covered starting your company, the basics you need to know, how to write a business plan, how not to get sued, how to develop ideas. It was a really good crash course. And, I guess maybe the first piece of advice is if you're looking to start a small businesses, local community colleges will have a small business development center. And as you'll hear later, I moved to New York, and that is the first thing I did when I came up here. I didn't look at Chamber of Commerce. I didn't look at starting a business or incorporating. I went to the Small Business Development Center, and they were super kind there. They definitely got my feet underneath me about what might and might not be differently, or might not be different from Kentucky. They are not the say-all, end-all, but man, I can't thank them enough over there at Rockland Community College for their help. Anyways, after I went to school completed that program, and I was planning on basing my first business around photography, I went back to Rainbow to get a little bit of financial stability, and I ended up buying a house, and it was a great experience, as I said. When my buddy from Orlando decided to call me up, I was really excited, and that's where the tide kind of turned towards me, heading towards what I do now. My buddy went to school down at Full Sail in Orlando, which is an extremely reputable 4-year college for the audio and visual fields. I'm pretty sure it's mostly video, but I have a feeling the school's based around kind of the art of the storytelling and how to do everything to the top-notch professional level. We had met 7 years prior to that, and I told him if he ever wanted to move to Louisville, I would quit my job, and we would start a business together. And so he moved into my house, and that's what we did. We started this business. He was going to handle the camera side, and I was going to handle the rest of it. And wouldn't you know it, that kid fell in love. And, there's definitely no hard feelings or anything, because he definitely tugged me in that direction towards this life that this career that I'm truly enjoying. And so he fell in love, and I decided that I was going to pick up the video side of things on my own. This is, kind of a daunting task, but the only thing that I had as my saving grace was the fact that I was a photographer. And the types of cameras that are coming out these days are now called DSLR cameras, and they are video cameras now. And it's what I'm recording on now. And they're just lightweight, more portable, less intimidating. And so I decided that I would give this a try. I would take on the entire business myself. And so, what I ended up doing is actually selling my house so I could buy video equipment. Just before that, I had actually started a multicam sports talk show called Clemson Girl 502 with my former neighbors. I did some photo gigs, as I said, and started with engagement and baby photos, and I knew that was not the industry for me. So buying that DSLR video camera was definitely one of my ways out as far as not having to do weddings and all that stuff. But I knew, and no offense to anybody that does that, it is a great living. I just struggle with it. Just couldn't do it. Some of you out there know what I'm talking about. But I knew video was going to continue to evolve and be necessary. I did sell my house to buy my first set of video equipment. And I went for 2 local jobs for other companies. And I've had really good success in my life as far as obtaining and keeping jobs. And I don't think there's many where I haven't been offered some sort of a promotion. Well, I I applied for these 2 different jobs, and I was certain I was going to get one of them, and I got neither. And so that was a little bit of a wake-up call that if I wanted to do this and if I wanted to do it my way, that I would need to do it on my own. At that time, I was dating a girl, and she agreed to move from New York to Kentucky if I had gotten one of those jobs. And since I did not, she was curious as to when I was going to move to New York. So I ended up moving to New York, and it's been a wonderful move. It's absolutely gorgeous up here, especially starting off a business and kind of detaching from what you previously thought of maybe a little bit more as obligations than I had realized. It was a real eye opener. I didn't know anyone. I was learning all new areas. Everything was new and fresh. And in living here, I've also realized that you can always look at where you are with fresh eyes. Look at the little things about where you are, and you'll find something that you can appreciate. Well, it took me getting away to really appreciate that stuff about here in Rockland County, New York, and back in Louisville, Kentucky. And I could not be happier with the move. We are happy. We are now engaged. But I had to change. I didn't have to change the name of my business, but my former business name was Soul Model Media, which is hard to say and also extremely hard to remember. But since you cannot transfer LLCs in New York, I decided that I was going to rename my company and rebrand, and that's when I changed it to Big Builder Brands. That is the name of the company and the network, and yeah, so look me up. As I said, I'm just now really starting to take my advice. I have a few basic websites and things like that, but I have done quite a bit of work for a lot of people. Now, who do I work with and kind of what do I do for them? What are my credentials? I got on with ADC Paving out of Louisville, Kentucky. What had happened was they just wanted some kind of video, whether it be, I don't think Kevin Gray was even really sure exactly what kind of video he wanted, but I think we came to the agreement that we should make something that would be a 30-second spot for a commercial that he could also use on Instagram. And so that went well. It looked great. And then he asked if I would be interested in doing a website. I had never designed a website. I knew the generals about how they worked because I'm a nerd and I would study that stuff or just look into it in case I ever needed it one day. I did. It was great. That website actually just won Website of the Year at this year's most recent Pavement Maintenance and Reconstruction Awards down in Nashville at the paving conference down there. Then he asked me if I would be willing to tag along for 2 weeks, 2 separate trips. Both were going to be different jobs. They were going to be out of town, but they were 2 jobs that he had actually gotten from connections on Instagram, and I'm not sure about going into this year, but as of about midway through last year, there were 2 of the 3 biggest jobs that they had, and that really opened my eye that a couple videos that I might be able to do for a paving company and put online would gain them such business. So his business increased from the time I started working with him to the end of last year by about 250%. And that is something that I am proud of and perhaps the only metric I really care about. Before you start using me and after, like how much have you grown? Because marketing cannot be taken one post or one activity at a time. You can't get too involved in the numbers as to why something works and doesn't. You can study the best times of days and how to tag and how to hashtag, which we will go over. But for some reason, sometimes they just don't perform. But it's about building, and it's about putting quality product out there nearly every time. And by quality product, I don't mean high production value. I mean, you just have to put a little bit of thought and care behind it because, like with that paving company, someone that saw that video decided to call them up and ask if they'd be willing to do a paving job out of state, and those were two of the three biggest jobs they've had. It's just amazing. And I knew that I was no longer a video company or a videographer. I was a marketing company because I was dying to know and understand how this all works. All right, let's see. Following the script here a little bit. So with ADC, and I will wrap this up shortly and get on. But he has a hardworking staff, and he wanted to maintain the goal of culture, improving the culture within his own company and within the industry. And if you talk to Kevin, he is passionate, and it's the other half of why I am able to work and function at this level for a paving company, is because he is passionate, and he does talk about work ethic a lot, and attitude, and that's what translates more than just paving or showing highlight videos. I get to mic him up and we get into it, and it's really neat to see his growth within the industry, and I could not be more proud of Kevin and ADC, all the guys at ADC, and the fact that I get to work with him. And that's going to be a pillar for the rest of my life, is just that start with him. But just kind of running down the list of who I work with and for ADC. I work with the Mark Lehman Spirit of Service Award Foundation. I'm a director on that board, and I guess you would call me the marketing director. But one of my high school buddies passed away, I guess it's been about 10 years ago, from blood cancer, and his father started a foundation, and they brought me on as photographer, and I couldn't help but be passionate about it. And it feels like it's a great way to give back, but we basically recognize excellence and care in the areas of hematology and oncology, physicians and nurses aides and assistants. We do a dinner for them just once every year, but I'm on that board and couldn't be more proud. Phelps Property Maintenance, just signed on with them. We're going to do about a video a week for them, produced by AK. That is actually my buddy that I went to school with for audio engineering. With COVID-19 going on right now, he really went hard on, both the production and live audio side of things. He was running live shows. Well, when live shows, concerts, and conferences are all being shut down, he's looking for other avenues of income, and he has a fully loaded studio. We're both very similar in the fact that if there's a new piece of gear that could help us one day, we're going to get it. He has completely designed a studio with top-notch equipment in his spare time and on the side, because he goes and does his live gig jobs and then comes back and improves his studio. And so we are using this and taking this to our advantage, and there's very exciting news going on as far as some different and unique opportunities for him, and we're teaming up with him, and we couldn't be more excited. There's a clothing brand, which is my first product. I have always marketed services, which is great. I love it. You can really emphasize the values and principles of a company, which you can do for this, but as far as diving into how things are sold online, how to dive deeper into the statistics and why something works or does not work, it's really going to be fascinating for me, and it's going to be a very different type of goal in helping this company get launched, and it'll provide a different point of view, and hopefully be able to relate to a lot more of you that maybe are coming from that angle. Comedian Charlie Walker, I've produced a music video for him before. We are looking at doing some kind of podcast or talk show, but the only reason we want to do it is simply to record our conversations and kind of give the behind the scenes on how these ideas are formed, because he is really starting to catch fire. He is a good friend of mine, and actually we started as business associates. I produced his first video, and he is now going to be a groomsman in my wedding, and it's just amazing. He's out in California, so that'll be a unique show if we can get that up and running, and I will let you guys know if we do. The local Chamber of Commerce, I've helped them along with the local hospital here. I've worked with them. I've done intro videos for tons of people, lots of podcasts. I worked with 333 Music Group as a consultant when they first started. Shout out to Drew. I loved helping him start that company, and it's been a heck of a roller coaster, and we continue to talk and work with each other today. And then my fiance works with a local college, and I've been able to help them out with some projects having to do with leadership development and community engagement, and I am thrilled. And now adding to this is remote broadcasting, live remote broadcasting, whether it be this show or something else. I am really interested at how to produce live video with doing graphics and lower thirds and reviewing videos. It's just the perfect time to be approaching those ideas of how to do things remotely. I mean, think about the number of Zoom meetings that are taking off and all that. Well, this is basically a show that I can run from my apartment, and the internet's fast enough now. It's just about getting that right equipment and doing what this show is all about, finding out how it gets done and the best thoughts behind it. Let's see. So my goal is to help you with any connection point between small biz creativity and marketing. I am truly honored and honestly slightly proud to get to this point because people are asking for my advice, and I've been waiting for that great outlet, that perfect outlet for me, and I really think this is going to be it. But it's not only going to be video. It's, of course, it can't be. It's going to be the ins and outs of small rig business video production. You know, the things you can do with your cell phone and the tips and all that stuff. The mentality and expectations of working with or trying your own marketing. It can be very intimidating. Some creative things you might find enjoyable that will help your business or cause. Some different ways of thinking. The same with marketing, those tips and tricks that might help. We're going to cover social media techniques, books that are helpful, the learning resources that are the top of what they do. We will have on guests. I've got a couple that have agreed to come on. Let's get this thing rolling. And then also video and social channels that might help you or your cause. And then the daily workflows. There are so many things that can help you communicate with people and, yeah, basically help you communicate with people, whether it be video, audio, written word that I think of, I put to the side, I organize, and then I research, and I can't wait to bring that to you. And then, the consistent thoughts that might answer your questions or spark your potential next action. I mean, that's what it's all about. If you don't have a specific question you're seeking out, but you find this podcast interesting, I mean, you're looking for something, you have a spark, you have something that really energizes you. And if it's any intersection of these three things, well, I'm pumped to be a part of it. So what I want to do is educate, or let's try that again. What I do is educated trial and error, but I am excited to include the resources that I use, the mentality and why I subscribe to them, and then how long you can either take care of certain aspects of starting your own business, doing some marketing yourself, or going through creative processes, or how and what to look for in people or companies when you are ready to take on one of those tasks. And then, just one more time, I want to reiterate that I am starting this amidst, there are something like 10,000 cases around me of COVID-19. I wanted to say that, I'm going through this with you, and as little of the personal side that I would like to take into this, some of these things do need to be addressed just because things have changed. It's not that, I really want to make this a show about my personal life, but I do understand that, the circumstances are just a little bit different going forward in business, marketing, and in creativity. I think this is a golden opportunity that everyone has to do something a little bit different. And whether it be you decide to do nothing and just wait for the world to return back to normal, or if you just have that itch to find a way to make more money using your creativity, marketing, or even create a new small business, That is exactly what I want to go after. That is exactly the spirit that I am embodying, and I am thrilled that I am going to be talking with everyone out there about all these things. And I will go ahead and wrap up this episode. So that is me. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I hope to return to you soon live, and then also get all this intro episode approved as a broadcast. But thank you very much. This has been the Digital Marketing Breakthrough, and I am Phil Metzger. Find me at Big Builder Brands Network or at Big Builder Brands on Instagram. Thank you very much, and I hope everyone has a great day.